This is the Phallic Philosopher coming back at you for video numero quattro. I am the Phallic Philosopher because I'm a bit of a dick and my deep thoughts will penetrate your mind. In my last video, I attempted to explain what was the purpose of life. So I figured the natural follow-up to that should be the reason for death and the potential of an afterlife and the different religions and belief structures that cater to those ideas. I wrote something up a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it got my point across pretty well. I was reading it a little bit ago here, and I was thinking I might have changed a few things, but I don't have a whole lot of time to be doing that. As far as I can tell, there aren't really too many people watching these videos, and so I'm just going to read it as it is. Mind you, I might have changed a few things, but I don't want to spend my whole day fooling with this shit, so I'm just going to read it like this. So anyway, as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm not going to read that shit. I'm just going to talk about it. So, but anyways, the gist of it is that every living thing is really nagged by an overwhelming and sometimes crippling fear of death. I don't think any are affected as deeply as we are as human beings, but that's because we're more aware of ourselves, I think, than most other creatures. Now, that might be debatable. You're talking about dolphins, or I'm not going to say pigs, but whales. Maybe a gorilla. I'm sure they're not quite as aware of themselves as we are, but we know Coco the gorilla can speak in sign language and has feelings and thoughts, I'm sure. The one other gorilla that they taught sign language was painting pictures and recalling his mother being shot by poachers and stuff. So other creatures are really quite aware. I don't know though if the idea of death or the thought of death weighs so heavily on them as it does on us though. And I am going to refer to this here. We are very self-aware, and as self-aware, artificially intelligent pilots of the organic machines we're tied to, I think we have an innate sense of being created. And I think this is because we were created by the naturally occurring intelligence on planet Earth. And I discussed that in the last installment. So, being so self-aware, we're also acutely sensitive to the temporary nature of our existence. So, since the beginning of time, well, as far as Homo sapiens are concerned, I believe we've always had a very keen sense of being creative. And I think we'll always have that feeling because I think that is the truth. So, anyway, our predecessors didn't have the knowledge base that we have because they didn't have as many generations that preceded them. They had experiences and compiled information and data that we can draw from today. But they were just as smart as we are now. So imagine that. Imagine being as smart as you are and not knowing anything about anything really, except how to survive. That must have been a very unique position to be in. I mean, we don't enjoy that today, although a lot of people act like they don't know anything. I mean, that's not true. I know that. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to read this shit. I'm going to though. So here we go. Anyway, so working with a limited understanding of their time, the most sensitive, intelligent, and insightful people throughout the ages attempted in great detail to describe and explain the feeling most of us have of being created. Though I feel they missed the mark a bit, they still managed to write enduring texts that possess great insight into the human condition and morsels of profound wisdom. As people trying to describe a thing that they never saw, touched, tasted, heard, or smelled, they were forced to apply their own perspective and draw from their own experiences to describe something they felt but didn't know. And the act of trying to describe something you feel and don't know is faith. But this was good. Their approach to trying to describe these things through their own perspective was good because, most of the people in their cultures or their communities probably shared that same perspective in a lot of ways. So this is good for spreading their message to the masses. The drawback was that their message was limited to the understanding of their time, and it was tainted by the fears people with limited knowledge are hindered by. It's understandable that so many people would have adopted one religious belief or another while living a perilous life, not knowing which way death is coming from. To have someone explain the feelings we couldn't articulate ourselves while providing guidance, wisdom, and a much needed respite from our sometimes crippling fear of death. It had a profound effect on the development of our species, to say the least. Though it had many, positive effects on us as human beings, alleviating that fear of death, I think, allowed us to take many risks and, embark on many journeys that we might not have before. Imagine if Christopher Columbus didn't believe in God, or the Vikings. Everybody believed in something. But imagine getting on a boat, going across an ocean that you don't know. First of all, you don't fully understand what it is. You don't know where it goes to. And you don't know what is waiting for you if there is something on the other side. Imagine doing that without believing in an afterlife. That should be crazy. I mean, for that, you might as well just fucking put a gun in your head, right? Because it's basically a suicidal thing. But if you're risking your life, but you believe that there's going to be an afterlife, then it's not as big of a risk. And you can actually justify taking such a risk. So, yeah, religion has had, very profound effects. It's made very brave people out of people that may not have been otherwise, I think. But I think the main drawback of most religions is it diminishes a person's accountability for the state of their own lives, and also diminishes the impact that they have on the state of the world at large. And it also, while diminishing a person's accountability, it also provides an inflated sense of self-worth. And it's only backed up by a deity that exists in an individual's mind. I'm sorry, I got mush mouth, and this is probably about the 6th attempt of reading this that I did. So, I had a few other attempts, and I'm saying fuck it now. I just got to go forward because I don't feel like spending my whole day. This shit don't need to be perfect. I don't know if anybody's watching this, and if you're watching it now, I think you're going to get the point. I mean, I'm not a fucking professional speaker. I drive trucks for a living, so, I don't know what you want from me. He's saying I'm just fucking with you. So anyways, yeah, but, I guess what I want to say, though, every person, I'm not knocking religion, really. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm kind of not. And like I said, it had its uses. It has very positive effects on people, but it has negative effects on people as well. But every person on the planet owes their existence to one religion or another, whether you want to call it religion or not. And it served us well in many ways in the past, but I'm not sure if it's serving us quite as well presently, and it may prevent us from enduring much farther into the future. So, again, believing in a God and an afterlife really relieves a person of a lot of responsibility for the state of the world, and also I think it takes a lot of importance off of this life and puts the bulk of that importance on the next, which, as far as I can tell, doesn't exist. So it's kind of a reckless, haphazard way to approach life when you're not really putting all your eggs in this basket. You know, you're more worried about the basket, the invisible basket that exists in a space that you never saw or seen or anybody has. So, you know, it's not logical, as Spock would say. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this shit up because I don't feel like taking any more of your time. I don't feel like spending more of my time. So I don't know. Maybe I should have done this the other way around. Maybe I should have offered my explanation for the reason for dying before I started talking about religion. But this is just how I wrote it out, so this is the way I did it. And I actually didn't even write anything down here about dying. But basically, you know, that's pretty easy to sum up. I think things die just so that there can be more players put into the game. Got to keep things fresh. Death not only forces a person to act because they have to survive, it also puts a time limit on things. So if a person does want to get things done, they're going to have to do it in a fairly efficient manner. You know, you only got 100 years, you know, it takes a certain amount of time to do any one thing, so you're going to have to keep moving. Puts a fire under your ass. Also, like I said, it keeps fresh players in the game. You know, once a person gets to a certain age, and once a person is, you know, fully formed, they can't react to new situations any differently. You see, once your mind is established and your thinking and your perspective is established, when put in a specific situation, you're only going to be able to react so many ways because you are who you are. Now, if you put a different person in that same situation, they may react a number of different ways. And if you put another person in that situation still, they're going to react different ways. So it's just a matter of just keeping shit from getting boring, I think. You know, people are so now focused on staying alive longer and this and that, but they're only doing it because they're scared of dying. That would be the only motivation, because I really think it kind of goes against the plan or whatever, you know, the system that's set up. Because the longer you live, the less you're going to have to contribute to intelligence, because you're not going to be able to add any new data to the mix, because you're just going to be set in your ways and you're just going to be doing shit. And so that's the reason why I believe things die, just to make room for new players to come in the game and have new experiences, and you know, potentially mine new bits of data from the experiences they have that may be slightly different from the experiences that their predecessors had. And so that's about all that is, as far as I can tell. You know, it doesn't make me feel any better saying these things. I wish that I could believe in a religion or something. I mean, I wish I believed I was going to live forever. But it just doesn't make sense. I wish it did. It just doesn't add up. It sounds too much like a person pretending to be a god, trying to explain things, how to tell you how things should be. And the thing of it is that a person might be able to tell you the right thing, but people don't like being told. So if these people that wrote the various religious texts over time said, hey, I think you should do shit this way because it's the nice thing to do, you know what I mean? It's the right thing to do. People say, fuck yourself. You know, who the fuck are you? You gonna tell me how to live my fucking life? Suck my dick, right? That's what people will say. So these guys were clever enough to say there's a supreme being that has created all this, and they told me to tell you that you're not doing shit right and you should do things this way. It was a very clever workaround to get around human nature, because people don't like being told what to do, even if it's the right thing. You can't tell anybody anything. There's an old saying. I think it may be a Chinese saying. I don't know if Confucius said it or something, but it's along them lines. One of them guys from back in the day. There's an old saying that says, a wise person, the saying goes, a wise man doesn't need good advice, but a fool can't take it. So if I'm going to put it in politically correct terms, then it would be a wise person doesn't need good advice, and a fool can't take it. But it's true. When I was young, older people told me a lot of things that I should have listened to, that I kind of wish I would have listened to, but I was too fucking stupid to take that information and use it in any kind of a productive way. I couldn't put it to use. I didn't have the experience, and I didn't have the frame of thought or the thinking to put it in any kind of effect. So, yeah, but I think that's what it is. And I'm rambling now, so I'm gonna wrap this shit up. And I just want to finish by saying this: there are more things in the world, in the universe, that I don't know. Like I don't know shit really. Basically, when it boils down to it, in the face of truth is all encompassing. Everything is the truth. We don't always act on the truth, but the truth is. And I know so little of it. I just feel like living the life I've lived, I might have glimpsed a little, I had a different angle at that shit. Maybe I might be seeing that shit from a little better perspective. And again, by me saying that, it's probably telling you that I'm a fucking douchebag, and you're probably saying fuck yourself. But I'm just doing this because I gotta make my peace. I'm gonna die someday. I see the world. There's a lot of shitty things going on. If you're like me, I would much rather see somebody smiling and happy. I like to see people lighthearted. And I like to see people getting along and being nice to each other. That shit makes me feel good. So, I just am trying to, put my thoughts out into the world. Maybe if it changes your mind and keeps you from being a piece of shit later on in your life, that's good. That's all I want. That's all I want. But, so, anyway, yeah, I don't really know a lot. And, so my confidence in the things that I'm saying, how true they are, I don't know. Maybe I'm a fucking lunatic. They say crazy people don't know that they're crazy, so who fucking knows? But, if my perspective sounds reasonable to you, maybe it's because it is. So, if it makes sense to you, use that shit. If it don't, throw it out. Forget about it. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to leave it at that because I got other things I like to do. I'm sure you do as well. So I'm going to end this video, and I hope you have a good day. Alright, bye.